Assembly is now in session. Assemblymember Fong notices the absence of a chamber. The chamber is here, but we lack a quorum. Wow. Yeah, the Sergeant at Arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Addis, Aguiar Curry, Alanis, Alvarez, Arambula, Baines, Bauer Cahan, Bennett, Berman, Berner, Bonta, Bryan, Calderon, Juan Carrillo, Wendy Carrillo, Cervantes, Chen, Connolly, Daly, Davies, Dixon, Isali, Flora, Fong, Friedman, Gabriel, Gallagher, Garcia, Gibson, Grayson, Haney, Hart, Holden, Hoover, Irwin, Jackson, Jones Sawyer, Cora, Lackey, Lee, Lowe, Lowenthal, Mainshine, Mathis, McCarty, McKinner, Mersucci, Quinn, Ortega, Pacheco, Papin, Jim Patterson, Joe Patterson, Pellerin, Petrie Norris, Quirk Silva, Ramos, Rendon, Reyes, Luz Rivas, Rodriguez, Rubio, Sanchez, Santiago, Chiavo, Soria, Ta, Ting, Valencia, Viapudua, Waldron, Wallace, Ward, Weber, Wicks, Wilson, Wood, Zabur, Mr. Speaker.
Members, I will note that the Public Safety Committee is meeting currently, so that accounts for a few members, but there's still a whole bunch of other members out there who aren't on public safety, so if they can find their way to the floor, that would be really good. We'd appreciate that. It's now 10:14. We're past our start time. Please make your way to the floor. It's now 10:30. We are still well short of a quorum unless you are a member of the Public Safety Committee that is meeting now. We would expect that you would be here to help us get on with our work. So members, please come to the chamber. Appreciate those of you who are here on time. Some very familiar faces. Thank you. Members, a quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer and the flag salute. The day's prayer will be offered by Assembly Member Nguyen.
We thank you for another day to work for and with our fellow men and women. We pray that you may be with us today to defend us, within us, that you may sustain us, before us, that you may lead us, behind us, that you may protect us, above us, that you may bless us in everything that we do. Amen.
Thank you, Assemblymember Nguyen. Please join Assemblymember Luz Rivas as she leads us in the pledge.
Members, please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Monday, August 12th, 2024. The Assembly met at
Aguilar
1.
Curry moves, and Mr. Flora seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations and petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving to motions and resolutions, the absences for the day. For illness, Assemblymember Ortega. For illness also, Assemblymember Cervantes. Moving to the Majority Leader for her procedural motions. Madam Majority Leader.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assemblymember Gabriel to speak on an adjournment in memory today.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118A to allow Speaker Rivas to have guests in the rear of the chamber and to allow members Gabriel and Santiago to have guests seated at their desks today.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
There are letters of legislative intent at the desk relative to AB 2561 McKinner and AB 3161 Bonta. I move to print the letters in the journal pursuant to Assembly Rule 42C.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Please move the following items to the inactive file. Item 31, SB 827 Glazier at the request of the author, and item 39, SB 1301 Stern at the request of Assemblymember Conley.
Clerk will note. Members, pursuant to Assembly Rule 77.2, I am re-referring the following items on the supplemental file. Item 102, AB 598 Wicks to the Housing Committee. Item 104, AB 846 Bonta to the Housing Committee. AB 106, AB 17, item 106, AB 1755 Calra to the Judiciary Committee.
I request unanimous consent to suspend Joint Rule 62A, the file notice requirement to allow the following committee to meet. To allow the Judiciary Committee to hear AB 1755 Calra today, August 30th, upon call of the chair in room 126.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
At the request of the author, please move item 25, SB 251 Newman, to the inactive file.
Clerk will note. Okay, members, a couple of announcements on my end here. We will break for lunch from 12:30 to 1, but we will be asking that you not leave the area, so everyone will be expected to be on the Greek carpet, so to speak. There will be a dinner break at 4:30 p.m. today. During that break, upon adjournment for that break, or upon recess for that break, there will be committee hearings that will happen at that point, and we'll give you more details about that later. And during that time, just to note, the Black Caucus is hosting soul food in the Eureka Room around the dinner hour, so please keep that in mind. And on a lighter note, maybe fluffier note, today is National Toasted Marshmallow Day. There's no chocolate or graham crackers noted in this, unfortunately. So it's just the marshmallows. So glass half full. We will have guest introductions at some point later today. For now, we're going to move to business on the daily file, concurrence in of Senate amendments. We're going to pass temporarily on item number 2. We're going to pass temporarily on file item number 3. We are going to move to file item number 4, AB 899, Assemblymember Cervantes by Assemblymember Ward. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1899 by Assemblymember Cervantes and others, enacted into courts.
Mr. Ward, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on behalf of Assemblymember Cervantes to present AB 1899, which is back on concurrence. Senate amendments require Judicial Council to adopt standard guidelines for the implementation of the bill. This LGBTQ caucus priority bill has received bipartisan support, has no registered opposition. Respectfully ask for your aye vote on concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the poll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Members, please come back to the floor. I don't know where you all went. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Move the call. Mr. Ward requests we move the call. Ask some members, please come to the chamber. We know you're here, but you're not here. I'd now like to move to a guest introduction. Members, please join me in welcoming Teralyn Apina of the Yurok tribe. Teralyn was a Native American Caucus honoree this year and has dedicated her life to activism and combating the missing, murdered, and indigenous persons epidemic. Tara Lynn serves as the tribe's chief operations officer. Welcome to the California Assembly. Thank you for being here. Looks like we will pass temporarily on file item 5. We are passing temporarily on file item 6. We are passing temporarily on file item 7. Looks like we're passing temporarily on file item 8 for lack of an author. Moving to file item 9, AB 457 by Assemblymember Aguiar Curry. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 457 by Assemblymember Aguiar Curry, enacting the beverage containers and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember Aguiar Curry, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 457 is back on concurrence after being gutted and amended in the Senate. I'd like to thank my colleague from Rockland for helping me address this issue this year. This is a simple bill. Starting January 1 this year, all wine boxes, regardless of size, were assigned a 25-cent bottle deposit. On small boxes that retail for a few dollars and that are sometimes sold in multi-packs, the 25-cent deposit adds up quickly. These products compete with canned products that only have a 5-cent deposit, so the larger deposit is noticeable to consumers and hurts the industry. This bill creates more parity across industry and helps consumers and the wine industry by lowering the deposit for small boxes of wine spirits from 25 cents to 10 cents. This bill also helps small wineries by streamlining the number of reports they have to submit to CalRecycle. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Aguiar Curry. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. This is a 54-vote bill, members. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Members, please come to the chamber. Come out wherever you are. Ms. Aguiar Curry moves the call. Moving to file item number 10, AB 1359 by Assemblymember Pappen. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1359 by Assemblymember Pappen and others, enacting to environmental quality and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you. Assemblymember Pappen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. AB 1359 is back on concurrence from the Senate, where it enjoyed unanimous support. Respectfully request an aye vote on geothermal testing wells. Thanks.
Thank you, Assemblymember Pappen. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. This is a 54-vote bill, members. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 What's your pleasure, Assemblymember Peppin? Move the call. Assemblymember Pappen moves the call. Moves. It's like we're passing temporarily on Mr. Kalra, as the author is not here. Moving temporarily, item number 12, author is not here. Moving to item number 13, AB 1296 by Mr. Grayson. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1296 by Assemblymember Grayson and others, enact relating to bar pilots.
Mr. Grayson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'm pleased to present AB 1296, which is back on concurrence. AB 1296 revises current state regulations mandating the replacement of 3 specified pilot station boats, allowing for the replacement of a boat only if it has reached the end of its useful service life. San Francisco Bar Pilots, or SFBP, provide an essential service by safely navigating commercial vessels to and from 9 Northern California ports. SFBP is the only pilot group in the state that is mandated by law to maintain a minimum of 2 pilot boats in service, with 1 boat on station in the open ocean at all times. To meet these requirements, SFBP maintains a fleet of 5 pilot boats. However, the California Air Resources Board's commercial harbor craft regulations threaten to make these essential services nearly impossible. 3 of the bar pilots' vessels are immediately subject to these regulations, and taking any of them out of service could severely disrupt the state's supply chain and commercial traffic. AB 1296 offers a viable pathway to achieve CARB compliance by extending the deadlines to match the service life of the station boats. This approach allows sufficient time to secure the necessary funds to build new CARB-compliant boats one at a time without the need for financing the construction cost, ultimately saving tens of millions of dollars. So let me emphasize that AB 1296 is a crucial element of the SF Bar Pilot strategy to comply with the commercial harbor craft rule. It is not a carve-out nor an exemption. Rather, it is a viable pathway to compliance. The SF Bar Pilots have been working diligently to find an appropriate path towards compliance, but cannot realistically build new station boats under CARB's aggressive timeline. That's why we're here today. This bill received bipartisan support. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes ayes. 46 noes, 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're going to move back and lift the call on file item number 4. AB 1899. Clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 47, noes 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item 14, AB 3179 by Assemblymember Juan Carrillo. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3179 by Assemblymember Juan Carrillo, enact relating to air pollution.
Mr. Carrillo, you are recognized.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present Assembly Bill 3179, which is back on concurrence. AB 3179 is a necessary measure that would allow for a very narrow delay to the CARB Advanced Clean Fleet regulation. specifically for bucket trucks and sail on wheels until 2030. These vehicles are important in ensuring that our first responders are adequately equipped for emergencies across our state. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 49, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're going to back up to file item number 7, AB 2951. Assemblymember Cervantes by Mr. Berman. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2951 by Assemblymember Cervantes and others, and relating to elections.
Mr. Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start by saying it was an honor to be mistaken for the future senator from Concord. I wish I had that head of hair. I rise to present AB 2951 on behalf of Assemblymember Cervantes. Senate amendments would provide the Secretary of State a brief extension of time to comply with new procedures for cancellation of certain voter registrations while upgrades are made to VoteCal, our statewide voter registration database. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
I was trying to think of something, but I just can't come up with anything, Mr. Berman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 53, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item number 8, AB 3184 by Assemblymember Berman. I got it right again. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 3184 by Assemblymember Berman, and relating to elections and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 3184 is back from the Senate. Senate amendments provide a uniform deadline for a voter to correct a missing or mismatching signature on a vote-by-mail ballot envelope for our upcoming general election, as well as make several largely technical changes to improve the ballot cure process. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 57, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 57, no 0 on concurrence in of Senate amendments. Moving to file item 11, AB 1581 by Assemblymember Calra. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1581 by Assemblymember Calra and others, and relating to fish and wildlife.
Mr. Calra, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1581 is back in concurrence. These amendments will codify and expand the Department of Fish and Wildlife Restoration Management Permit and were negotiated in tandem with the Department, the Senate Natural Resources Committee, and other environmental stakeholders. These amendments will ensure that the department is able to make consistency determinations for the new federal conservation benefit agreements, and it gives you all the rare opportunity to vote on a Calra-Mathis bill. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Calra. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 54, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are now moving to Senate third reading. File item 32, SB 1283 by Senator Stern, presented by Assemblymember Bauer Cahan. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1283 by Senator Stern and others, enacting the pupils.
Assemblymember Bauer Cahan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present SB 1283 by Senator Stern. This bill is critically important as it ensures that our kids spend their day focused on both their education and their social emotional growth by spending their school day off social media, in the classroom, and on the playground. Amendments have been taken that ensure that it does not expand the surveillance of our children, but instead just ensures they don't have access to social media, which we know is absolutely in the well-being of our young people. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote on SB 1283.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bauer Cahan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 51, no 0. Measure passes. Ready to lift the call on item number 9. Clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 61, noes 0 on the urgency. Ayes 61, noes 0 on concurrence in Senate amendments. Moving back to Senate third reading. File item 34, SB 1181, Senator Glazier by Mr. Berman. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1181 by Senator Glazier, enact relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974.
Mr. Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 1181 eases unintended compliance issues that local jurisdictions and the FPPC faced in implementing the author's previous legislation. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 55, no 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item 55, SB 1108, Senator Ochoa Bogue by Assemblymember Wallace. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1108 by Senator Ochoa Bogue, enact relating to mobile home parks.
Mr. Wallace, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have before you today Senate Bill 1108 by Senator Rosalicia Ochoa Bogue. SB 1108 will extend the time from 60 to 90 days to cure a violation under the Mobile Home Parks Act. This will allow vulnerable mobile home park residents additional time to receive assistance and cure violations. Under SB 1108, fewer Californians will face the threat of eviction. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, no 0. Measure passes. Okay. Moving to file item 56, SB 1170, Senator Menjivar by Assemblymember Pellerin. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1170 by Senator Menjivar and others, enact relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974.
Assemblymember Pellerin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to present SB 1170 on behalf of Senator Menjivar. SB 1170 would allow candidates running for political office to use campaign funds for campaign-related mental health care services. More than 40% of state legislators experienced threats or attacks within the past 3 years, and more than 18% of local office holders experienced threats. The coverage provided by this bill would be solely for mental health services that were derived from experiences that impacted a candidate during the campaign. In order for the candidate to allocate funds for mental health care expenses, the candidate must note the underlying campaign-related circumstances that had given rise to this need. This bill has no opposition. I'm a proud co-author of this pro-mental health care bill, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Pellerin. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 It's a 54 vote bill, members. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 All those vote who desire to vote.
And for intern is the one in pink in the back.
All those vote who desire to vote. Assemblymember Pellerin moves the call. Members, we're going to go to a guest introduction, please. Members, please join me on behalf of Assemblymember Petrie Norris in welcoming her summer intern, Kayla Hussey. Wishing her the best of luck and safe travels as she returns to Oregon for her sophomore year of college. Thank you for your service to the Assembly. Moving to file item 57, SB 1281, Senator Menjivar by Assemblymember Addis. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1281 by Senator Menjivar and others, enact relating to developmental services.
Assemblymember Addis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present SB 1281 on behalf of Senator Menjivar. This bill eliminates concerns and barriers with the self-determination program. It's back on third reading, and I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Addis. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 44, no 0. Measure passes. Assemblymember Pellerin asks for notices lifting the call on file item 56. Clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, no 7. Measure passes. Moving to file item 61, SB 1419, Senator Rubio by Assemblymember Wilson. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1419 by Senator Rubio and others, enact relating to food and making an appropriation therefore.
Assemblymember Wilson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members. Today I rise to present SB 1419, the Food Desert Elimination Act by Senator Susan Rubio. This critical bill will help address food insecurity and poverty issues for our most vulnerable communities across the state. By establishing this statewide fund, we will be able to draw down federal funding opportunities for grocery store operators to establish grocery stores in food deserts. At a time where our constituents are struggling to pay for their food, gas, and utility bills, now more than ever, it is imperative to ensure our underserved communities receive access to healthy food options. That is why it is important to help families who live in food deserts and establish grocery stores where they are none. I remember being a young girl on the west side of Fresno and growing up my entire life without a major food chain in my community. And so this will help ensure that we address those type of issues in communities across our state. We have to continue to work to ensure all Californians have access to healthy and fresh foods. With that, I thank you all and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Wilson. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 56, no 0. Measure passes. Assemblymember Pappen is lifting the call on file item number 10. The clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 62, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 62, no 0 on concurrence in of Senate amendments. Moving to file item 62, SCA 1, Senator Newman by Mr. Bryan. The clerk will read.
The Senate Constitutional Amendment 1 by Senator Newman and others enact relating to elections.
Assemblymember Bryan, you are recognized.
Thank you, colleagues and members. SCA 1 by Senator Newman is a bill that places something on the 2026 ballot, a question for voters on how we should handle our recalls, our gubernatorial recalls, specifically raising the question of whether the lieutenant governor should step into the governor's position. It's a common sense measure. It's a question the voters have the right to answer, deserve to answer, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. This is a 54 vote bill, members. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Mr. Bryan moves the call. Moving now to file item 64, SB 1155, Senator Hurtado by Assemblymember Pellerin. The clerk will read.
The Senate Bill 1155 by Senator Hurtado enact relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974.
Assemblymember Pellerin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise today on behalf of Senator Hurtado to present SB 1155. SB 1155 aims to broaden the scope of lobbying restrictions by including executive members of state agencies and appointed officials who receive a salary. SB 1155 addresses this issue by instituting a one-year cooling off period for these officials before they can engage in lobbying activities. By creating a longer buffer period, the bill aims to reduce conflicts of interest, promote transparency, and restore trust in the integrity of state agencies and the policy-making process. This is a Political Reform Act bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Pellerin. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. This is a 54 vote bill, members. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, noes 0. Measure passes. Moving to file item 68. Senator Ashby by Assemblymember Berman. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 1451 by Senator Ashby, enacting to professions and vocations.
Mr. Berman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 1451 is the annual Business and Professions Code omnibus bill. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 49, no 0. Measure passes. Members, we are moving to file item 49, SB 399. Senator Wahab by Ms. You're not doing that, apparently. We're now going to the supplemental file, members. Just a moment. Okay, we are moving to concurrence in of Senate amendments on our supplemental file. But before we do that, we're going to lift the call on file item 62. The clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Okay, we're going to move the call again at the request of Mr. Bryan. Okay, now we will go to the supplemental file for concurrence in of Senate amendments. And I'm just going through the entire file here. If you're here, you're happy to, if not, we'll pass and we'll come back to you later, okay? Everybody on notice for that? Everybody understands. I'm not bouncing around. If you're not here, you're not here, and we'll come back to you later. All right. Moving to file item AB 460, item 101, AB 460 by Assemblymember Bauer Cahan. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 460 by Assemblymember Bauer Cahan and others, and I in the water.
Assemblymember Bauer, Ms. Bauer Cahan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 460 is back from the Senate, where it has been narrowed significantly, but is still important as it raises fines to ensure people do not steal water. It now has no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Bauer Cahan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 48, noes 3. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're going to pass temporarily on file item 598. Moving to Assembly Bill 598, item number 102, excuse me. Moving to file item 103, AB 718 by Assemblymember Ta. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 718 by Assemblymember Ta and others, and I the veterans.
Assemblymember Ta, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is go back for concurrent. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Ta. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. So we're going to pass temporarily on file item 104. Moving to file item 105 by Assemblymember Alvarez, AB 1472. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1472 by Assemblymember Alvarez and others, and act relating to recreational vehicle parks.
Mr. Alvarez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present AB 1472. It is a district bill that would prohibit the unfair business practice known as the RV shuffle within the city of Imperial Beach, city I represent. The RV shuffle involves evicting and relocating tenants from a residential RV park, usually for about 48 hours every 6 months. This is to prevent those tenants from gaining certain status that would provide them with substantive tenant protections. It is a practice that's been affecting my constituents and potentially others throughout the state for the last 2 years. And most of these people who I had a chance to sit with at their park are elderly or on fixed income. We should not be evicting residents who have found a suitable shelter and are able to abide by all the other rules, including paying their monthly rent on time. The amendments taken in the Senate have limited this bill just to the city of Imperial Beach. And this bill has been requested by the city of Imperial Beach and enjoys support from ACE San Diego and the Public Interest Law Project. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on AB 1472.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 54, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're going to lift the call once more on file item 62. The clerk will post. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, noes 15. Measure passes. Moving back to our supplemental file. File item 107, AB 1859 by Mr. Alanis. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1859 by Assemblymember Alanis and act relating to coroners.
Mr. Alanis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1859 is back with clarifying amendments. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alanis. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 60, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 108 by Assemblymember Chen, AB 1862. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1862 by Assemblymember Chen and act relating to limited liability partnerships.
Mr. Chen, you are recognized.
I respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 58, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 109, AB 1871 by Mr. Alanis. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1871 by Assemblymember Alanis and others and act relating to pupil instruction.
Mr. Alanis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Apparently, I didn't talk enough on the last one. So AB 1871 is a financial literacy bill that previously passed out of both houses with 0 opposition, but was since amended to avoid a chaptering out conflict. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alanis. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 110, AB 1886 by Assemblymember Alvarez. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1886 by Assemblymember Alvarez and others, and relating to land use.
Mr. Alvarez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present AB 1886. And the bill has Senate amendments that dealt with Chad Perniat issues, and so I thank you and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 43, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. By Lee. Moving to file item 111, AB 1895 by Dr. Weber. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1895 by Assemblymember Weber and others, and relating to health facilities.
Dr. Weber, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise to present the concurrence on AB 1895, which addresses the issue of maternity ward closures. Senate amendments remove the requirement that the legislature receive hospital data and a community impact report before it goes to the public. It also requires that the state departments to develop recommendations on how to assist the maternity ward experiencing challenges and whether or not it is feasible. This bill is a legislative women caucus priority, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence for AB 1895. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 55, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 112, AB 1901 by Assemblymember Chen. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1901 by Assemblymember Chen, and relating to vehicles.
You gotta say something.
Incredible bill. Please vote aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chen. For the record, that was a head nod, so that just doesn't, we got to have something on the record, but I do appreciate the brevity. That was a first. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 64, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 113 by Assemblymember Wendy Carrillo, AB 1950. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1950 by Assemblymember Wendy Carrillo, and relating to state government.
Assemblymember Carrillo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1950 is back for concurrence. This bill acknowledges the historical housing and justice of the Palo Verde, La Loma, and Bishop communities, known today as Chavez Ravine, and takes the necessary steps needed towards truth and reconciliation. AB 1950 passed the Senate with bipartisan support. And on a personal note, members, this is the last bill that I will be presenting on the Assembly floor, and I'm proud that it is district-focused and rooted in the fight for justice. Thank you to my wonderful team, and thank you to all of you and our Capitol community for your kindness, your friendship, and your support. I respectfully request an aye vote on AB 1950, the Chavez-Ravine Accountability Act. Thank you.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 52, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 114, AB 1954 by Assemblymember Alanis. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1954 by Assemblymember Alanis and others, an act relating to sexually violent predators.
Mr. Alanis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1954 is back on concurrence with amendments that are technical in nature. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 115 by Assemblymember Berner. AB 1992. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1992 by Assemblymember Berner, an act relating to carbon sequestration.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1992 is back on concurrence. Senate amendments added inland wetlands with a 3-year delayed implementation for stakeholder engagement. The bill has no opposition, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Berner. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 44, no 6. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 116, AB 2068, Assemblymember Ortega by Assemblymember Lee. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2068 by Assemblymember Ortega, an act relating to employment.
Assemblymember Lee, you are recognized.
On behalf of Assemblymember Ortega, I rise to present AB 2068. This bill would require California state agencies and departments that contract their public and customer call centers out of state to provide a full list of these contracts. Amendments made in the Senate were technical in nature and result of working with the governor's office. Respectfully, ask your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, no 0. I'm going to pass temporarily on file item 117. Members, please give your respectful attention to Mr. Gabriel, who was granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to request that we adjourn today in the memory of my beloved uncle, William Jacob, who passed away earlier this year after a brief battle with cancer. My Uncle Bill was many things: a brilliant mathematician, inspirational teacher, devoted public servant, beloved family member, and profound mensch who radiated humility and compassion. It was obvious to all who knew him that Bill was exceptionally brilliant, like Goodwill Hunting smart. In high school, he somehow converted his VW Bug into a working electric vehicle. He earned a PhD in mathematics from Princeton, and he was an internationally recognized teacher and researcher at UCSB for more than 30 years. But Bill's brilliance was only a small part of what made him special. His real gift was his quiet inner drive to use his talent to help others. He had a strong social consciousness that he exhibited throughout his life. Whether it was protesting the Vietnam War, fighting to strengthen public education, or working to make college more accessible to students from disadvantaged communities, Bill was firmly committed to repairing the world, what we refer to in Hebrew as tikkun olam. At UCSB, Bill made improving K-12 math education a major focus of his career. He worked with experts from around the world, advised the California Department of Education, developed innovative new curriculum, and helped thousands of students improve their math skills. Bill's other true passion was the University of California, and he worked tirelessly throughout his career to strengthen UC. Over the course of several decades, he served on numerous committees and as an advisor to the Office of the President. Among other contributions, he served as chair of the System-Wide Board of Admissions and Relations with Schools, as chair of the System-Wide Academic Senate, and as the official faculty representative to the UC Regents. He was deeply involved in efforts to ensure that UC would admit a diverse student body and developed a friendly working relationship with Governor Brown as he lobbied the governor and the legislature to invest in public higher education. Fittingly, during my last in-person conversation with him, which took place at UC Davis Medical Center not far from here, he seized the opportunity to lobby me to protect funding for higher education in the state budget. Even from his hospital bed, Bill was fighting for the university he so loved. Beyond his professional passions, Bill was an exceptionally loving husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, and friend. He was funny, kind, and full of positive energy. He loved discussing politics and current events, enjoyed spending time in the Sierras, and absolutely adored his wife, Debbie, his sons, Michael and Adam, his daughters-in-law, Lauren and Judy, and his beloved grandchildren, Asher, Alara, Magnolia, and Finley. A Jew by choice, I have cherished memories of celebrating with Bill at family Shabbat dinners, Passover Seders, Hanukkah, and Thanksgiving. He was the kind of uncle who would show up to watch a JV soccer game at 2 p.m. on a random Wednesday afternoon, just to show you that he loved you and just because he wanted you to feel special. Our entire extended family was deeply attached to Bill, and there are no words to adequately describe how profoundly we feel his absence. In short, Bill was an exceedingly rare combination, brilliant, humble, and kind. He used his gifts to help others, and he leaves behind an incredible legacy of service to the UC system and the people of California. His memory will forever be a blessing to our family and our state, and I respectfully request that we adjourn today in his memory.
Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. Our condolences for your loss. Members, please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Members, we will move back to concurrence and of Senate amendments. Moving to file item 118, AB 2136 by Mr. Jones Sawyer. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2136 by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer, an act relating to controlled substances.
Mr. Jones Sawyer, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2136 is back in the Assembly for concurrence. This bill clarifies the legality of accessing and providing drug checking services in California. Senate amendments update the bill's immunity provision to apply a negligence standard instead of grossly negligent to controlled substance checking service acting in bad faith and making other technical changes. These amendments remove law enforcement opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Jones Sawyer. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 44, noes 3. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 119, AB 2159 by Mr. Mainshine. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2159 by Assemblymember Mainshine, enacting the common interest developments.
Mr. Mainshine, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2159 is back on concurrence. Thank you, and I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mainshine. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes, ayes 59, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 120, AB 2182 by Mr. Haney. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2182 by Assemblymember Haney, enacting the Public Works.
Mr. Haney, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 2182 is back for concurrence. Will help provide equitable pay for construction workers across California. Senate amendments were technical and clarifying in nature, and this bill has received bipartisan support. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 54, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 121, AB 2186 by Assemblymember Wallace. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2186 by Assemblymember Wallace, enacting the vehicles.
Mr. Wallace, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 2186 is back for concurrence in Senate amendments. These aren't just technical amendments. These are critically important amendments that drastically improve the bill by making me the author after the original author moved to Washington, D.C. Respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote for Mr. Fong's former bill. Ayes 59, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 122, AB 2240 by Dr. Arambula. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2240 by Assemblymember Arambula and others, enacting to housing.
Dr. Arambula, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 2240 is back for concurrence. California farm workers should be treated with the dignity and respect reflective of the essential contribution they make to California's agricultural economy and to our local communities. The amendments codify protections for farm workers and establishes stakeholder working groups to design and implement reforms to the migratory farm worker housing program to better reflect modern farm worker populations. Assembly Bill 2240 is a collaborative agreement with stakeholders, and recent amendments have removed opposition. I'd like to thank our speaker for his allyship as principal co-author and for his ganas and desire to get a bill done this year. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Dr. Arambula. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 56, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 123, AB 2308. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2308 by Assemblymember Davies and others, enacting the protective orders.
Assemblymember Davies, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2308 is back in concurrence. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Davies. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 61. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 124, AB 2313 by Assemblymember Bennett. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2313 by Assemblymember Bennett and others, enacting the agriculture.
Mr. Bennett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 2313, the Farm Worker Tool Sharing Bill, is back for concurrence. There's no opposition to this bill. I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 130, AB 2672 by Assemblymember Petrie Norris. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2672 by Assemblymember Petrie Norris and others, enacting to energy.
Assemblymember Petrie Norris, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2672 is back from the Senate on concurrence. Amendments are technical and clarifying. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Petrie Norris. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 56, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 131, AB 2739 by Mr. Mainshine. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2739 by Assemblymember Mainshine, enacting the firearms.
Mr. Mainshine, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2739 is back for concurrence. Senate amendments address chaptering issues. Thank you, and I respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mainshine. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 45, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to item number 132, AB 2750 by Mr. Gallagher. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2750 by Assemblymember Gallagher and others, enact relating to electricity.
Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 2750 is back on concurrence. This bill clarifies, it's a district bill, that biomass facilities located in air districts that voluntarily reclassify their ozone or PM federal EPA classifications can still receive BioRam power purchase agreement extensions. Senate amendments clarified that this is a narrow district bill applying only to one facility and requires the plant operator to obtain a letter from the air district with jurisdiction verifying that the area was voluntarily reclassified. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 51, noes 0. Measure Senate amendments are concurred in. I'm going to move back up. We're going to pass temporarily on item 2465, moving to item 125, moving to item 126, AB 2467. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2467 by Assemblymember Bauer Cahan and others, enact relating to healthcare coverage.
Assemblymember Bauer Cahan, you were recognized.
Members, this is a historic moment. I believe this is the first bill in the country focused on menopause care. We're going to send it to the governor and ensure that women have access to menopause treatment as necessary. One of our colleagues might be having hot flash right now, so it seems incredibly appropriate to be adding on concurrence. And this is important for all of us women who will go through menopause if we live long enough. But as someone who has been told by our male colleagues that they've seen the benefits in my mood of me having this treatment, I know it benefits all of us. With that, I respectfully ask for your, whoa, our men are taking issue with this bill. With that, thank you, Mr. Mathis. With that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote and concurrence in Senate amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer Cahan. Seeing and hearing no further debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're now moving to file item 49, SB 99, Senator Wahab by Mr. Haney. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 399 by Senator Wahab and others, enact relating to employment.
Members, your respectful attention to Mr. Haney, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'm presenting SB 399 on behalf of Senator Wahab, which would implement labor protections that I think are among the most basic and common sense. SB 399 would simply prohibit employers from forcing workers to attend meetings about their own political or religious beliefs. It does nothing to limit the free speech of employers. It simply prevents workers from being disciplined or fired if they choose not to participate in those meetings or communications. As we all know, in many workplaces, employees are at will, which means they can be fired at any time for almost any reason. This gives employers tremendous power to pressure workers to do as they say. This measure is needed to address that power when it comes to the personal matters such as political and religious perspectives of an employer. These meetings are often referred to as captive audience meetings because although they are not job related, having nothing to do with an employee's job duties, workers are not permitted to leave or attend without facing discipline or other adverse action. Again, we've heard a lot about this bill, but I want to underscore this because when I first heard about what this bill would do, I was actually shocked that this is not the law already. This bill does not limit at all what an employer can say on any topic, including their own views on religious or religion or politics. They can hold meetings, they can hold fundraisers, they can have individual conversations if they want to with their employees. It only says that employers cannot threaten, retaliate, or discipline workers who choose to leave those meetings that are about an employer's views on religious or political matters. The bill does not apply in the following situations: if the meeting is about information necessary to a worker's job duties, if the employer is a public entity communicating to its employees any information related to a policy of the public entity or any law or regulation that the public entity is responsible for administering, if it is a training to comply with the employer's legal obligations, including under civil rights laws and occupational safety and health laws, if the employer is an organization or party requiring meetings to communicate the employer's political tenets or purposes. This bill does not prevent political or religious communication from employers. It simply protects employees, which is something I think we would all want, to be forced to listen to these perspectives or participate in meetings. Employees should have the freedom at work and the protections at work to not be disciplined or fired simply because they don't want to be in a meeting that has to do with a political or religious issue that has nothing to do with their job duties. SB 399 is a national AFL-CIO model bill drafted by the top labor lawyers in the country. It's been enacted by many states across the country. The nominee for vice president, the current Minnesota governor, did a similar law and has been championing this law all over the country. It's important that California's workers have these same protections. I want to also say that there is some further clarifying language, some cleanup language. I want to thank my colleagues who have brought forward this concern to make sure that if it is a political or religious organization and the meetings have to do with their job responsibilities, that those would also be something that would be communication that is allowed and not covered by the bill. Of course, that makes sense if you work for a political organization that is a part of your job duties, or for a public entity if it's a part of your job duties. So this is a basic common sense labor protection. It's important that California's workers have it just like so many states around the country. And with that, colleagues, respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Member Calra, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of SB 399. Employers should not be able to bully, intimidate, threaten, coerce, or force employees to listen to their opinions on politics, religion, or unions. This is what this bill is about. Whether it's employers busting a union drive or forcing workers to vote their way on ballot measures, this bill is about coercion, not speech, not the form of speech. As the former labor chair, I understand the power imbalance in the workplace. It is terrifying to face employer threats and retaliations, still file a complaint, and then have to go through the process to prove your case. As the chair of the Judiciary Committee and author of the PAGA reform, I want to speak to the opposition argument about litigation. Labor and business negotiated landmark reforms. Now, every employer has the right to cure almost any allegation before a lawsuit can commence. That means they would get notice of a violation and simply fix it. There is a process in place to get that done for both small and large employers. So there's no risk of litigation under this bill for any employer willing to come into compliance. That means if they break the law, they simply have to fix the violation and they will not face litigation. With that, I respectfully ask your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Calra. Member McKinner, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of SB 399. Last Friday, a group of Hyatt Regency workers right across the street from the state capitol told management that they filed for a union election. This morning, I went into the Hyatt to order coffee and show my support for these workers. Why do these workers need community support? Because doing anything that's not what the boss wants, it's terrifying. Excuse me. SB 399 is about making sure workers have the freedom to leave non-work related political meetings without retaliation. It's about the freedom to not listen to your boss's opinions on current events or on how they want you to vote in the upcoming election without retaliation. It's about the freedom to leave those meetings if you have the courage to do so without retaliation. For those reasons, I urge and I vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember McKinnon. Assemblymember Luz Rivas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise in support of SB 399. A lot of the discussion of this bill has focused on unions, but this bill is broader than the issue of unionization. The issue that this bill is trying to address is the unfair power dynamics between employers and employees. In 2019, the Royal Dutch Shell Company invited a presidential candidate to give a speech at their facility. The employers sent a memo to workers that if they did not clock in to attend the rally, they would lose pay and become ineligible to receive the 16 hours of overtime pay. We have heard stories where Amazon workers in Moreno Valley endured multiple captive audience meetings where they were told they would lose their benefits if they unionized. Google, REI, Apple, stores, and many other employers have held captive audience meetings after workers began advocating for their rights on the job. These are the most egregious examples of political captive audience meetings, but employers are getting more sophisticated with advisors to help them convince workers to vote in their interest. And more employers have interest in what is on the ballot, as we have seen. Captive audience meetings are designed to intimidate and bully workers, which can be terrifying for anybody, especially vulnerable workers, such as undocumented or formerly incarcerated workers, who fear for their jobs, income, and their families. Under this bill, employers can still talk about politics and elections. This bill states that employers cannot coerce or intimidate workers to participate in meetings or listen to their political interests or religious views. This bill is good for workers and it's good for our democracy. This is why it's been signed into law in 8 states: Connecticut, Maine, Minnesota, New York, Washington, Illinois, Hawaii, and Oregon. California needs to continue to protect workers and employers' right to free speech. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Rivas. Assemblymember Reyes, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I too rise in support of SB 399. Workers go to work to do a job. They should not be subjected to mandatory meetings about their boss's political or religious views. Everyone has a right to their own belief system. If the employer wants to share those beliefs at the work site, that's fine, but no one should be coerced to listen. This bill protects the right of a worker to choose not to participate in a meeting about the employer's religion or politics. There are numerous exemptions to cover all the times where a worker should not be permitted to leave, such as where the information is related to their job or mandated by law or for safety reasons. There are exemptions for mission-based organizations and political parties. Outside of those circumstances, a worker should be free to simply return to their work. I don't view this as a controversial idea. Workers have come to the Capitol to share stories about what it's like to endure captive audience meetings. They said that they fear that if they speak up, they will be fired. This bill does not prevent those meetings, but it protects a worker who chooses not to participate. Members, I urge you to stand with California workers and vote yes on SB 399.
Thank you, Assemblymember Reyes. Assemblymember Bennett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I urge an aye vote on SB 399. I have spent considerable time in the last couple of weeks trying to address issues raised by people concerned about some of the language in the bill. I think it is, for my investigation of this, I think it's very clear that the power dynamics that are out there in the place suggest a need for this bill strongly. And the issues that have been raised, it's, to me, very clear that the authors have made a good faith effort to try to address those and put those modifications into the language. I strongly urge an aye vote to give workers this fundamental protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Santiago, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I wanted to rise and talk about this bill. And it's for a lot of personal reasons, too. The core value of this bill basically says that you can't force an employee to sit down and listen to dogma. And let's talk about that for a second, because it does have a huge impact. And by the way, this cuts both ways, whether you're on one side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle. You wouldn't want it to happen either. So be careful about how you vote on this. But let's be real about this. If we're talking about workers, and in some cases, immigrant workers, to bring everybody in and to tell them where you stand and to force your belief system is, by definition, intimidation. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. And I've had family who's been through this. If you bring in workers and you tell them just how bad a union is, just what would happen if a union happened to come on the premises, and to instill your belief system, well, what do you think's going to happen? You are bullying, you are intimidating, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. Because by default, you're basically saying, if you don't get with the program, we're going to fire you. But let's talk about religious beliefs. Do you want an employer to bring in a worker and instill on people a religious belief? Of course not. Or a political party? No way. Shouldn't happen. And this bill's pretty simple. The bill doesn't even say that you can't do it. You can do it. You just can't take retaliation and force a worker to be there if that conversation is happening. Now, before I graduated from college, I took a job at a local lumber yard. And periodically, they would bring in workers and go through what you do and you don't do in policies and forklifts, etc. That would still be legit, by the way. The bill would still makes it permissible to have those kind of policy meetings, those kind of actions, those kind of things that you talk about if you're running a business. Doesn't exempt that, by the way, folks. That still happens. And I'm going to repeat it one more time for everybody who's kind of had misinformation about this. It also doesn't stop an employer, from when I read it, to continue to do the kind of meetings that I wish wouldn't happen, which is on political beliefs or their belief systems about whatever. All it says, very simple. And remember, this cuts both ways. It's very simple. You can't retaliate. You can't take it out on a worker if they decide not to go. So I know there's a lot of conversation about this, but think about it for those who are not going to vote on this. You feel very strongly about your belief system. Do you want an employer to bring workers in and force them to listen to the opposite of what you believe in? How would you feel? This is why we have the best country on earth. Because we're free. You can make a decision that is best for you. I believe in God, but I wouldn't want an employer to bring everybody in and instill it on them. This is very simple, and it's about the fairness of being a human being and being able to choose for yourself. It's not the kind of fight that some have been making this out to be. Very simple. Freedom to choose to be there, freedom to have dignity, and not instill doctrine on anyone. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Mr. Haney, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank all of my colleagues who spoke in support of this. As they said, this should not be controversial. This is a basic labor protection that all employees in California deserve. And on behalf of Senator Wahab, respectfully ask for your aye vote.
And with that, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote? 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 Yep. All those vote who desire to vote? Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 42, no 16. Measure passes. Members, we're moving back to Senate third reading. File item 65 SB 59, Senator Skinner by Assemblymember Irwin. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 59 by Senator Skinner and others, and act relating to transportation and electrification.
Assemblymember Irwin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Electric vehicles have powerful batteries, which are important assets that can power more than just the vehicle. The energy in these batteries also can power homes and buildings if they are equipped with bidirectional capability, which allows energy to flow to and from the battery. Equipping EVs with the capability for bidirectional charging allows EVs to power homes and other facilities when the electricity demand is at its peak and prices are high. With bidirectional charging, EVs have the potential to help support the grid and help slash energy bills for EV owners. SB 59 is not a mandate and does not require EV manufacturers to act, nor does it require our state agencies to act. What SB 59 does is give our agencies a green light to analyze the potential benefits of EVs with bidirectional charging capability, and only if warranted, require EVs to be equipped with that capability. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Irwin. Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. 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 Members, come back to the floor, please. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes ayes 45, noes 13, measure passes. Members, we will recess for committee hearings and lunch now. Please listen up. Members will be allowed to leave, but do not go far. We plan to reconvene promptly at 1:44 p.m. Committees that will meet during the break are Insurance in room 444, Judiciary in room 126. Members, please be back on the floor to commence business on the file. We will pick up Senate concurrence at that time. If you're not here, we will pass by you and put you at the back of the line. So you want your bill out on concurrence, be on the floor at 144. House stands in recess. Whoop. The committee hearings are happening immediately upon recess.
Hey everyone, hope everyone can hear me. I was trying to get my mic ready. So if you can hear me, you guys, let's see here. So please, we have some call to actions right now. So please call the governor and also call the CLBC chair, Lori Wilson, so we can have these bills on the floor as soon as possible. No excuse. We've been at this for 4.5 years. Our ancestors have been here for 400 years. We've been here for 400 years. So there is no excuse at this point in time. So once again, we have calls to action. We are going to go ahead and stop this stream and reconvene at 1:45 when they come back from recess lunch. Let's keep the fight going, family. Let's keep focused and let's keep that energy up. All right, we can't give up. All right, we've been here in this country and we built this country. All right, so I was actually going to go through some of the comments, but I got some stuff I got to do right now. And but I'm gonna go ahead and stop this stream, but please be back because we need this energy. Please keep in the comments, keep the comments going. People are watching. California is watching. The world is watching, and your voices are being heard. So believe it or not, your voices are being heard, family. So thank you once again for tuning and joining in. We're going to come back at 1:45 and get this party started once again. Love and light, family. Let's keep going. Peace and reparations, and let's do this thing. All right, family. Peace. And once again, please like, share, and subscribe if you can. And yep, that's it. We'll be back. Leading with lineage.
California Reparations Task Force hearings.
Final report recommendations.
California Freedmen Affairs Agency, CAFA office.
The Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice.
Free the land, eminent domain, unjust property taking return.
The Mass Media Group was there. Reparations Now, the documentary where it all began.
Released Juneteenth, 2023.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.
Available to watch on Tubi TV and other streaming outlets. As always, thank you for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe to your #1 source for reparations and news. Until next time, peace and reparations.
On this month, we have the rise of the Phoenix. George Jackson. From the day that we landed from Arthur Ashe, when the Wimbledon game birthed the Henrietta Lacks. Second, J Baldwin born with the fire next time. 1964 Jersey race, struggle is sublime. Speech of Frederick Douglass, no struggle is no progress. Florida gets rid of slavery, it was grotesque. Emancipation Day for the Black Creek Nation. Louis Armstrong born the great trumpet sensation. Andrew Johnson denied the freedmen. Confiscation Act tried to patch the bleeding. Cali House and the ex-slave pension. North Pole Trailblazer Matthew Hickson. Whitney Houston turned the Star Spangled out. Isaac Hayes with the stars, no doubt. Watts rebelled, Black Chicago caught hell with the infamous riot tales. As we say, we go black, 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 black. Here we go, black, 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 black. Come on, say black, 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 General Minnie Lee Jones, Ernest just fertility, chromosome, Julian Bond, activist, politician, Dorothy West for words with precision, Marcus Garvey, Unity United, Rayford Johnson, all around athletes, lunch counter sit-ins, Oklahoma City, Jamestown, home of the first lace pixie, Melvin Van Peebles, sweet bag, Huey P. Newton, keeping it black, Houston Revolution, Bayard Rustin, Althea Gibson, Mr. Johnson got NASA buzzing, MLK, the great last speech, Marshall Washington with the protest feet, Wendell Scott, Colonel Blueford, Kenny Washington, NFL word. When we talking about to turn it out. When we talking about 1, 2, 1, 2, talk about black. Here we go, y'all, black.